You have a unique model that the child therapist works individually with the child or teen
Right.
and have less contact with parents, encouraging parents to meet with their own parent guidance therapist. Can you talk about this structure and its benefits?
Definitely. Yeah. It's a really good question, Dr. Zakalik, because it is a unique model in that parents and children are not really seen together unless it's more of like a family therapy type of situation. But we typically recommend that children have their own therapist and then parents are involved with the child's therapist in terms of quarterly feedback. So the parents are getting information, how the therapy is going, being able to report, have that connection with the therapist, but then having their own person as well. And we'll talk more about that in a different video segment in terms of, how we support parents and parent guidance. But it's very intentional because we find that it's most effective. And the main reason is that it really affords children privacy and confidentiality. So, if you look at the research in terms of what makes therapy effective across ages, it's being able to trust the therapist. And so children, while they're not adults, right, they are just like us in that they have feelings, they have private personal worlds, right, inner worlds. And so if a child feels like they can't come in and kind of talk about what they want and they don't have to worry about the parents' feelings or adults' feelings, right, it really creates a special therapeutic relationship, which is what it is. And so if parents are really involved, it can actually, again, inadvertently, it's not the intention, but then children may not be bringing the things in that are really on their mind. Because parents can worry about, is my parent going to get upset about this, or am I going to get in trouble, or not wanting to maybe upset parents? And so it really creates a space where if they know it's private, it helps them open up and share, which actually leads to more progress.
Right. Like thinking about adult therapy and how confidentiality is so important, just as important for children.
Absolutely. Exactly. And that might not be how people view it, right? Because they're children, right? But, we do need to afford children the same kind of respect and consideration for their motives and feelings, right? And I'm glad you brought that up about the adults, because when I do parent seminars, I really like to use adult analogies, right? To help parents understand from their experience, right? So like it'd be just like if they're in therapy themselves and then their spouse is walking in the session saying, hey, you got to talk about this. And we got into an argument the other night and talk about that. Or the therapist calling the spouse and saying, hey, do you want to hear what your partner said about you? Right. It wouldn't work. And an adult would not like that. And children don't like it either. They may not be able to protest as strongly about it, but it can impact the treatment. And so that's why we really set it up that way.
Yeah, it can really compromise the effectiveness of
Exactly.
therapy.
Exactly. Even though it can be a loss for parents, right? Because it's one way they're not involved with their children that they normally are. So it's understandable, right? When they go into a pediatrician's office, they're in the appointment, right? Until they're a teenager, right? So we can understand that it's hard, but that's why we really want parents to understand that it's really because it actually works. It's more effective, and that's what parents want.
Very nice.
Yeah. And the other part to it too, Dr. Zakalik, is that I think it also helps children know that the therapy is for them. It's not about just getting them to change, because oftentimes, kids are managed all the time and there's a lot of expectations. Therapy is one place that we believe it really should be for them and about them rather than about what everybody else kind of wants for them. And we find that actually is more effective, because then the child is not either just complying, right? Or they get into power struggles with the parent, right? Like you need to talk to your therapist about homework or this or that. Kids can kind of push back from that, because children also need to have a sense of agency and control. And so we understand it can be harder for parents to not actually be in those sessions, but wow, it is, we believe, far more effective, because the child then is choosing, to use the therapy how they feel they need it. And that's just more powerful. It's more effective and it's more powerful.
Nice.